Hi Christina, this is the video I promised to send you with in which I'm explaining everything I'm doing actually in the process to check out your magazine. So I'm going to show you a little bit what kind of things I changed. So you can do them yourself if you want to do them any all the time you're working with another magazine or whatever. But I think it's useful to share this kind of knowledge because sometimes it can save you lots of time. So the first thing I notice is in the master pages, you have all set up with the columns, but the grid actually is not set up. So if you can make your grid to be perfectly set up, it's going to work better as there's some blank spaces on top. So you go to preferences and the InDesign menu, go to grids, and then you change the start and you start right at the beginning. I usually set it up as 0 points. And then you can change the increments, which mean where are these lines going to be? That depends on the size of your font. So once you have that, the change is going to be pretty huge. Then you go to view and you can show up the grid. And in this case, I use this grid selection with the columns that works pretty well. And then I have all these spaces covered right on top and at the end. So what I did basically is every paragraph and every line is going to be adjusted to all these lines. This would give coherence to the text and is going to be easier to read for your readers. Moving on to the pages, I would say this is my favorite one, The Great American Road Trip. I saw it a bit dull for my liking, and there was a lack of contrast. The yellow is not too bright, so it's kind of difficult to read. So I went for a brighter yellow. Here it is. And I made the font even bigger because it's going to be a great American road trip. You really have a road in there, so I think great should be outstanding. I changed the font a little bit, and then I changed also the alignment of the text is now centered, and I put some bits in bold too to make it more relevant. One little thing I changed in the master spread, I changed also the pages and the settings for the information that's going to be in every single page. So basically is not going to stand out anymore. It's a lighter gray. As you can see, as I was telling you, with this touch up of the text, columns are aligned now. It looks way better for my liking. It's easier to read. I set the picture a bit lighter, a little more transparent. So now it's going to make a big contrast with the font. And the font color also, I don't usually like black, so I used blue in this one. In this page, Sweet Tea and Pecan Pie, you have to think also that these kind of pages are longer to read, so you have to make it a bit more attractive. And I split it up in 3 parts. I changed the gray too and the titles and the lights of San Fernando Cathedral. This was pretty good, so I touched basically a few things, especially the title. Now it's all aligned with the grid. In this page, I really love the green, but I think it was mistreated somehow by the text and some blank spaces. So I changed that part with this paragraph. I set it up in white. I think it looks way better. It makes more contrast. And if you have a paragraph with that composition, it's good to pay more attention to that. So there's no problem if you make a big contrast. In Off the Beaten Path, as you can see, there was kind of a half of a page was missing. So I covered both pages and I make the title bigger. In Lime Cay, Jamaica, same here, too much text, and this I was weird for me. So I changed the title too and added this blue spot on the right because I think it's kind of is related, so I think it works better with the blue background. In this section, I added in the background a 9. It looks pretty good if you have a 9 covering only a text, but it's kind of weird to understand what's going on. So that page was good. 2 families, 3 countries, 1 place. It doesn't make a difference. So the only thing I did basically was changing the numbers in bold, the word with the number in bold, and the other words in medium to make a big contrast. Reduce the size of the paragraphs a little bit, and changing the picture because the paragraphs you can see it's justified is easier to read. Here we got the photograph. That's right there. The magic of reel on reel. That was pretty good. We have that picture there in the corner. Changing was basically leaving. I adjusted some beats, but I think this page looks good the way it is with only justifying the text in the columns. A trip to Tanzania. This had a huge change. I think it's way better because it seems to be a really good trip, so I think it deserved more attention. With bigger pictures, big title, I think it works way better. The national parks celebrate the centennial. One of my favorite too. Yeah, I used these complementary colors, so you can play a little bit with blue. Now that you have the blue, you can use brown and pink. It's not only about green. Let's see the next one, which is a Grand Canyon. You can see I use some. I'm not a big fan of using effects, but I think this one deserves something like that. Just a sentence. And the text was really big, so I used italics for that because I think it's easier to read now that you have in a smaller size. 4 national parks not to sleep on. The highlight here was using the word not in red. I think that creates a feeling of what's going on and it's going to make you want to read it. In the road to Southland and Zion, same here, half of the page was uncovered. I don't think the page has to be always covered, but I think it could be a great opportunity to use a title. These 2 pages were crowded with text. I think they were really good, so just change a little bit with bolds and paragraphs to make it more appealing. Same problem here, lack of contrast. So here we go. We can use the title because the hierarchy allows that to put it under the paragraph, as your eyes are going to go there to the title because it's bigger and it has a more bigger contrast. This one, I'm not a big fan of frames, but we can keep that one, no problem. Just adjust it a little bit. See, I used the label that you already had there. It was kind of hidden, so this kind of thing is very common, leaving one part of the phrase here. Little trick is to adjust the tracking and just put it a bit smaller. It's not going to hurt anyone. And don't forget to adjust the paragraphs to the line where they are aligned all together. So moving to the next page, you see this Serengeti National Park, and this lower part of the pages are it's kind of empty. So I change it, as you can see. Now I want to show you what I did with the cover page, save the best for last. And as you can see, I changed the hierarchy. So now we have this. This is the only bit that's kind of off, right? That's the place where it was. And now that you see how everything is arranged, it looks kind of weird, right? Because your eye is used to a type of hierarchy, type of composition now. So we're going to move these 2 spaces. We're going to set this font a bit bigger. And now we're going to adjust everything. So there it is. Next, looks, yes. And now this summer text is going to be on top, so just set it up on the box to the bottom. For travelers by travelers, right down below. You can see the composition had changed, so it enhances every little paragraph. And now we're going to remove that one. I did it by creating a new master page. Write the same, pretty much. It's the same as the one we're using already. Just applying the cover. What I did was apply this new master page just to the cover. So here you go, your cover without the number. And that's all. Thank you for watching.